Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, and you are listening to the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. It is great to be with you today. I am your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer. Thank you for joining us. This is training camp report number 7. Let me start very quickly by the most important thing we're going to talk about today. I'm here in Cali, obviously not with my family, but today is my son Dexter Ernest Wayne Carpenter. It's his second birthday. Happy birthday, son. I love you dearly. Okay, let's get right into it because I've got voluminous notes. I was told today that I'm long winded. I thought that was kind of funny. I laughed about it. I screenshotted it and sent it to my wife. Um, I just got a lot to cover. So I'm going to give you everything I got. I took voluminous notes. I took 8 pages of notes. I've condensed it down to 1 page of things I want to talk about. If that's too much information for you, I get it, I understand it. But for those of you that that's what you want to go inside training camp. That's what I want to give you. Uh, all of the crowds have been good. There's room for, I'm going to guess, 100 to 150 people. I don't know if it's that many. I think 150 may be on the high side, but somewhere in that figure. Today's crowd was by far the best, and I think they've all been good. But today's crowd was raucous. They were feeding before the players got on the field, and when they were loud. When the players started coming on the field, they were already loud. At one point, Max is getting them jacked up, and they were jacked up. The players were feeding off of it. It was really cool to see. Shout out to that crowd. That was a great crowd today, and they were really loud, and they were loud all day. They were loud all day, from before the players got on the field till the players came over to sign some autographs. They were loud, and the players loved it. So if you're coming to training camp, just come planning to be loud. And I got to meet a lot of you, so thank you for taking time to say hello to me. And really great to meet all of you. So not all of you, but a lot of you. So thank you for having me. I want to start by a mistake I made the other day, and boy, did I hear about it in email. I'm so glad so many people don't make mistakes in their life. I have known the Pete family for a long time. And as you know, Andrus Pete is a tackle for the Raiders. And the other day I called him Cassius, and people were like, "What's wrong? Are you stupid?" Had one person ask me if I needed to be put out to pasture. And this is not a political statement by me, but obviously by them, like Joe Biden. Cassius is Andrus's little brother. And that's why I accidentally called him Cassius, because I've covered him and I know the family. So I apologize about that. I'm sorry it made so many of you miserable, but there was a reason why I did it. And I apologize. I will do better. So let's get into it today, because I got a lot of notes and some names that you've not heard me discuss. But some guys made some statements. Some guys have made some statements, and I think it's important to give those guys their credit. I think it's important to recognize those guys and to tell you when they're doing. The first one was a kid. His name is Ellerson Smith. I don't remember if he's a first or maybe he may even be a third year guy. Let me look real quick. He's a defensive end out of Northern Iowa. I know that. This is his third year. He's from Minneapolis, but Ellerson Smith's a defensive end. Today was the first day that he did something that stood out. Now, if guys just do the drill, okay, they're pros, they're paid, they should. Um, but if they show maybe a hint or a flash, or I have higher expectations for a Janarius Robinson than I do Ellerson Smith, but I have higher expectations of Max than I do with Janarius. And I thought that Ellerson Smith had a really, really good day. Showed a lot of really twitch, um, showed some super good balance. In fact, I was very impressed with his balance. I thought he would, and that's, I'm looking at notes here. He did really good. He showed a lot. Byron Young, the first time in this camp that he shined some today, the defensive tackle. Y'all remember him from last year from Alabama. He showed a couple of times today, he caught my attention. and just some little movements that he made, some things that he did. So it's good to see him making some progress. And then I'm going to give you another guy, another defensive end, Charles Snowden. I don't know anything about him. If I'm going to be very blunt with you, I'm not going to pretend like I do. Um, I know he's a first year guy. He's from Virginia. And he's a free agent. So this is a guy. Ellerson showed 3 different times today. A couple of times, I wouldn't say that he flashed, but he certainly was a little bit impressive. So when that happens, I take note to watch guys closer. And today I watched him very close for, in fact, there was probably 10, 15 plays I watched him. And I was very, um, I was impressed because he's a first year player and a free agent. So I was impressed with him. He certainly got my attention. These are guys you say, well, Hondo, why are these guys important? Because these are guys that you're going to be watching a lot in the second half of preseason games, fighting to make some spots on that roster. And anyways, I just thought that those three, I wanted to talk about those three. I'm going to talk a lot interspersed here about the quarterbacks, but there was a play that Aiden O'Connell made today. Um, in fact, the crowd, woo, and I turned around, there were a couple of guys in the crowd at that point that I was chatting with, and one of them even said, "That's what you've been talking about on the podcast." He made a play today. He was under pressure and he sidestepped it. And it was something that you would have seen at Purdue. Um, I don't believe you would have seen it last year. If you did see it last year, it would have been at the tail end of the year. But it was just a really good play. He sidesteps it, avoids the pressure, puts the ball in a perfect position where either the wide receiver is going to make a catch or nobody's going to make a catch. There's not going to be an interception. Wide receiver didn't make the catch, but it was one of those plays that Aiden has made a lot this camp. He has been risk averse. He had no interceptions today. Same with Gardner Minshew. It was a very good day for Aiden O'Connell. Um, there was a couple of throws he made. I mean, there was more than a couple. He made several great throws, and I would say certainly fired up the camp. He made a very long pass. I mean, he put his foot in the ground and he moved those hips, and it was literally, it looked like it was on a rope. Just, it was really, both of them right on the money, hit the guy in stride, made a couple of throws on the sidelines where there were great passes, brilliant catches. Um, Defense won the day. I'm not pretending that they didn't, but remember the AP system is I don't want you to cost me. And Aiden did everything because there's going to be times when he's playing a defense and he's got to throw that ball away. Kick, let your defense do their job. Aiden did that. Again, I think that Aiden, um, not exponentially, but incrementally, has widened the gap. Not so far at all that Gardner can't overcome it once pads come on tomorrow. But it was a very good day for Aiden O'Connell. He was just 2 or 3 times, I mean, long balls he put right smack dab on the money. Just no hesitation by the receiver, in stride, um, where they had to extend their hands. And it was a really, really good day. Great day for Aiden O'Connell. Um, Also want to talk about, I want to talk about a play that happened with Brock Bowers. Now, please understand, I have to be careful in how I word things because I don't want to give away formation information. But there was another wow where the crowd where Brock Bowers runs this route. Now, Nate Hobbs is not covering him. The ball goes deep to Brock Bowers, and Nate Hobbs just kind of looked at him like, is that a tight end? In fact, I asked Nate about it, and I'll have that video up for you tomorrow. But I asked Nate about Brock Bowers' speed. That young man runs like a wide receiver. He runs like a gazelle. And anyways, on this throw, Aiden put a perfect pass, and it was right down the seam. I mean, right down the middle of the field. It was a 9 route, meaning going to the end zone. You know that. Some teams call them a 7. Raiders call it a 9. But he put that ball in a perfect spot. And this is why I think it's so important, because when you're learning guys' speed, a normal quarterback probably would have underthrown that ball just because you feel like you're dealing with a tight end. This tells you how many reps Aiden O'Connell has gotten with Brock. He put the money, and Brock literally had his hands extended. He didn't even have to, it wasn't even a pass that was right here. It was out in front of him, and he caught it in for the touchdown. It was and the crowd went crazy. And even the defense was like, wow. And that's what AP means. Hey, don't take risks. We're going to take our shots downfield. So don't take risks, because guess what? We may come back and throw that route, and bam, it's going to be a touchdown. I was asked by a fan today, in my opinion, does the offense look as good as the defense? Not a chance. But it does look considerably better, with the caveat of no pads. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that throw by Aiden to Bowers was stunning. I'm going to tell you another guy that stood out. He's in his 3rd year from Pittsburgh, DJ Turner. Now, I did not think DJ was going to make this team when I did my original 53 projection. I will tell you right now, I think he's the 4 or 5 receiver. I think he has had a very good camp. Today, though, was an excellent day for DJ Turner. DJ Turner made some great plays with his hands, and showed some great athletic ability. This was a good day for DJ Turner. DJ was able to get some really good separation on some very good defensive backs. And again, big props to DJ Turner. And the whole thing is, I like the young man. As you know, Pat Narduzzi is head coach in college at Pittsburgh, one of my best friends on the planet. And so I like him already. I'm rooting for him. I want him to make the team. I just don't think he had done enough to separate himself. I think he's starting to do that. Can't rest now, but I think he's starting to do that. Next, I want to talk about illegal man downfield, and I want to explain this to you. Offensive linemen have a box. They can't go, 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage on a pass play till the ball crosses the line of scrimmage. And there were a couple times today where the Raiders had an illegal man downfield. And a fan said to me, does that mean the players aren't paying attention? And I said, no. And I don't remember the person's name that asked me, and I apologize, or I would have mentioned them, because I really respect them. So on timing routes, you tell your receiver, we're going to run, whatever the name of the play is. And it's a timing route, meaning it's a 1, 2, 3 throw. It's a 1 step, 2 step, 3 step throw by the quarterback. And you may tell them 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Then you're hustling down the field to block. Well, if the guy's covered and the quarterback doesn't throw, then and the quarterback holds the ball, if the wide receiver, if the lineman doesn't see that ball wasn't thrown, he goes, and the lineman gets the penalty. And a lot of times it's on the either the defensive back made a great play, wide receiver ran a wrong route, or the quarterback held the ball too long. I say all that to say this: there were a few times last year, I don't remember how many, but there were a few where Aiden O'Connell, a legal man downfield, and people were excuse me, not a legal man downfield, but where Aiden threw the ball away. And people are like, why is he throwing the ball away? It had only been a couple of seconds. He wasn't under pressure. Well, he was throwing the ball away because it was timing routes, and he knew his offensive linemen were going to release and head downfield, and he didn't want an illegal man downfield penalty. Now, sometimes when it's a 7-step drop, it is on the lineman, but sometimes when it's a timing, it's not on the lineman. It's on either good defense, whatever, and the quarterback has to get rid of the ball to avoid that penalty. There was a couple times today, and Aiden or Gardner were not running quarterback where that was called, and that was on the quarterback for not getting rid of the football. I think that's important because there's times when quarterbacks will throw balls away and fans are like, well, he wasn't under pressure. Oh, he's afraid. No, it has nothing to do with being afraid. He doesn't want an illegal man downfield penalty, which is a brutal penalty. So the starting offensive line today was Pete, Cody Whitehair, Andre James, Dylan Parham, and Thayer Mumford. Again, that's not a surprise. I told you that's what it would be, but that's who was running it today for the ones. I want to talk about Jakorian Bennett. As you know, I took a lot of criticism the entire offseason. I told everybody the Raiders would have liked to have added a corner, and they would have. They absolutely would have taken the kid out of Alabama. I don't remember his name right now, but it eludes me. But he went to the Lions. I'm sure I'll remember it. Great kid, great player. He was the number one corner on the Raiders board. I'll think about it. But anyways, but I told everybody no one inside the building had given up on Jakorian Bennett. No one had. And I told you how high on Jakorian I was. I think this kid has all of the tools to be a star. He probably has had the best camp of any Raider. Every single day. Today again, he's out there competing with Devontae, and he's winning he's winning reps now. Not winning all of them. He's going against Devontae Adams. But remember, this is the kid last year that Devontae had a heyday with him. Now he's holding his own. I'm going to tell you right now, it is clear to me the three corners, Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, and Jakorian Bennett. Now, I have been an outspoken supporter of him. A lot of fans have been negative. A lot of media have been negative. And Nate Hobbs took exception with that. I do believe, and I don't believe this because I'm making it up, people inside the building told me they felt like, he had looked great early, got injured, struggled, maybe lost some of his confidence. He does not believe he lost confidence. And Nate Hobbs does not believe that. I'll have those videos up for you tomorrow to watch, but that's the only way I know how to word it. But the kid never quit, and I said that. And there are a lot of people that are going to owe some Jakorian Bennett some apologies. I'm glad that I'm not one of them. That young man has looked the part. Now, is he going to give up plays? Yes, he is. There's just great receivers. He gives up plays now to Devontae and Jacoby and to Trey, but he's winning more than his fair share. And I'm very impressed with Jakorian Bennett. And Jakorian Bennett today, he had a route that he defended against Devontae where Devontae ran a perfect route. I mean, it's why Devontae's a Hall of Famer. And Jakorian Bennett, his speed is so impressive, faster than Devontae. His closing speed, and then gets around in front of Devontae to knock the ball away. Now, here's what's really cool. Nate Hobbs is absolutely crushing it in camp too. And so is Jack. So is Jack. I'm just telling you that the Raiders, we have been here at Sports Illustrated, have been very high on the Raiders defensive backfield all offseason. And I know they wanted to add a corner, and I don't blame them. You can't have enough corners. But man, We've been high on them, and they've made us look good. They have been very, very good. Um, and I thought that. Now, Nate Hobbs is another guy. Nate had um, I don't even know how to describe it. Nate Hobbs just he plays corner the way Max Crosby, Robert Spillane, and Marcus Epps play. And he has just looked phenomenal. Now the pad's coming on tomorrow. So the wide receivers are going to have a chance to get more physical, but so is Nate Hobbs, who we know is a physical corner. So I literally cannot wait for them. I'm going to be laying in bed tonight, just twitching, ready to go. Just so excited about camp and about pads tomorrow. I hope that you don't miss our podcast tomorrow. I love having this daily date with you guys, just chopping up ball, talking ball, and all of it. I want to talk about um, Brock Bowers some more. I asked him about this today. His speed, and I mentioned about Nate Hobbs just watching. His speed is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And that young man can accelerate so fast. Just wing, gone. Just unbelievable to me. I for his body type, that youngster is fun to watch play football. He's gonna shock a lot of teams. There's going to be plays that he makes this year, and I want you all to hit me up on Twitter and say, "Hey, Uncle Hondo, that's what you were talking about." He just is going to accelerate past people. He's going to get some PIs, pass interference penalties, on some defensive guys because he's going to blow by them, and they're going to have to hold him to avoid a 9 route for a touchdown. He's going to get some PI penalties, and when he does, you hit me up on Twitter. But his acceleration, very impressive. Not acceleration like Barry Sanders, because Barry could stop and be in a full run after one step. Not like Calvin Johnson that had to get 3 strides in and then he was gone and he was lightning quick. I'm going to guess 1.5, 2 steps and he's at full acceleration. But for his size, it's pretty impressive. Very impressive young man. Michael Mayer is having an outstanding camp. He has found there's a word. He has found his happy place right now. He's healthy. He's playing healthy. And I asked him today because his acceleration, I watched him the other day catch the ball. I'm not going to say who because I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. And he accelerated and created separation from a defensive back, a veteran. And I thought to myself, that veteran's gone against him a million times. There's something different. And so I asked him today, you look faster. Is it just because you're healthy, or did you do some things to improve your speed? And he said it is that he's healthy, but yes, he did things to improve his speed. In fact, that video is already up. I encourage you to go watch that video. I put video up. Luke Getsy spoke today, the offensive coordinator. Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. Make sure you check out all those videos, as well as I put highlights of practice. I put some highlights of the team, offense and defense going against each other. You're going to love that. Uh, I put some highlights of the quarterbacks dropping dimes, and I put some highlights of the defense. Make sure you go check out all those videos too. Tons of video for you. But again, Brock Bowers' acceleration. There's one other thing about Jakorian I forgot to tell you about, but I think it's a very big deal. There was a moment today where he took DeCamerion Richardson, who's having a very good camp, the rookie, put his arm around, I don't remember if he put his arm around him or just put his arm in his shoulder pad. And it was a big brother teaching moment. And I didn't ask him specifically what he told him, but it reminded me of a time last year when Davante Adams schooled Jakorian pretty good. and Devontae helped Jacorian. And to me, it was a great example of Devontae and his impact on this team. Devontae helps Jacorian last year. Jacorian's helping DCAM. And it's what this team. Michael Mayer said this today. I thought it was really funny about how close this team is. And I've been telling you all this. It's phenomenal. I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say it. I've covered football for decades. I believe this is the closest team I've ever covered as far as guys getting along, offense, defense, all of them. Young guys, old guys. I've seen teams kind of where the married guys and the older veterans stick by themselves. No, none of that. None of that with this team. AP didn't want it. AP isn't getting it. The coaches are hanging out with players. Players are hanging out with coaches. This may be the closest team I've ever covered in decades. Again, I want to talk about Trey Taylor. I told you I'm very excited about this young man. I fully expect him to make the 53-man roster. I think he's going to be a star, and I have said to you, I will not be surprised if one day he's a captain of the Las Vegas Raiders. Not this year, nor close to it. But I do think the day will come. Very smart young man. I'm very disappointed, not in him, but about the only time I talked with him was about the Kermit puppet. He's a good kid. Trey Taylor made an interception today that may have been one of the most beautiful interceptions I've ever seen. Perfectly thrown ball. The wide receiver bobbles it, and he just takes it. His eyes were up. He saw the play, goes to the play, makes the interception. It was the only interception of the day, and it was thrown by Anthony Brown, but it was not on Anthony Brown. It was on the receiver, but it was a great play by Trey Taylor. Not a good play. And it was another one of those moments when the crowd's like, "Ooh." One of the guys in the crowd said to me, he goes, "Uncle Hondo." And I just looked at him and go, there was a guy dressed up today like a Raider, literally like I say a pirate, but you know what I mean, a Raider. Great costume, by the way, if that guy ever watches the pod. Great costume. I loved it. Lots of great costumes. I had there was a guy there with his kid, lots of kids today. It was just a fun day. But the Raider costume guy looked at me and goes, "Uncle Hondo." I go, "I'm telling you, it was a play now. It was a play. It was a play that you normally don't see a late round draft pick rookie make. And it's why I keep telling you I think Trey Taylor was a steal. Okay, Dylan Labe just keeps making plays. I asked Luke Getsy today. I said, coming from New Hampshire, it isn't the greatest level of competition. He's looked great now, but pads haven't been on. It's been the underwear Olympics. And I said, how big is this going to be for Dylan? And he said, Luke admitted it's going to be big, but he is not concerned, which really surprised me a little bit. I've covered football a long time, and most times when you get a kid coming from a lower level of competition, most of the time there is concern in coaches. But he said he isn't because he's showing such a high football IQ that he believes that there's nothing to be concerned about. That was very, very reassuring. But Dylan Labe continue to look steady. The kid, yeah, the kid looks to be a steal. Just going to say it, and I think it benefited the Raiders that he went to New Hampshire because there are a lot of people that liked him. And I told you the day he was picked, I predict he's going to make the roster because I knew what they thought about him inside. And they felt like, and this is where Tom Telesco and Champ Kelly, super smart, they felt like because he was new in New Hampshire, he would fall. But where he was, they felt like we have to get him. He's just too good of a player. Probably should have been drafted higher, but because he's at New Hampshire, a lot of people were going to overlook him. Young Mr. Labe, you have impressed literally everyone. Offensive players, defensive players, Special teams players, coaches, fans, media like Dylan Labe's look good. All right, let's talk about Gardner Minshew. Good day. Very careful with the football. Earlier last week, you may remember he was gunslingerish. I asked Luke Getzey about it, and I thought this was very telling. I just said, "You like a guy that's mobile and can create plays, a little bit of a gunslinger, but AP wants a guy with ball security. How do you balance that?" Again, I encourage you to go watch that video. And Luke was very blunt. Yeah, I like a guy to create, but you got to have ball security. So he wants his cake and eat it too. You want the guy who's creative, but you don't want the interceptions or the bad sacks. So again, I love that. I think Aiden has clearly shown his ability to create, but be very protective. Gardner has clearly shown ability to create with a little bit of gunslinger, not a bunch, not enough to be worried. That's why I'm telling you right now, I think Aiden is ahead. I think Aiden incrementally keeps moving ahead, but not exponentially. I don't think this race is over whatsoever. I don't think it's anywhere close to even an insurmountable lead for Aiden. But I think Aiden's got the lead. But Gardner's been very impressive to me. And y'all know I like him. So it's not a matter of not liking one and liking the other. I just know what AP's looking for. I know what Getzey's looking for, and Aiden has shown it, and I think that's good. I want to talk about another receiver competing for that fifth receiver spot, and you're probably not even going to know his name. His name is Alex Bachman. I want to share with you a little bit about him, if you could. Interesting kid today. He he really impressed me with a couple of things that he did. I want to find his height and all that for you in the school, and I think he's from Wake Forest, if I remember correctly. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, he is from Wake Forest, first year UDFA guy. Uh, but I'm going to look at my notes here. He just showed uh, some hands today. So I want to tell you about this route that he ran. He runs a perfect route. I'm very impressed with his route discipline. A lot of young receivers, you don't see that. You do with him, but he's running, and the receiver is. I mean, the defensive back is looking at him, not looking back at the quarterback. And I'm going to turn to the sideways so you'll see what I'm talking about. And he's running his route, and the ball's coming, ball's coming, ball's coming, ball's coming. In fact, I wonder, does he see it? And at the last second, catches it, because defensive backs are taught as soon as you see the hands, then you start looking back to try to block the pass so you don't get a PI penalty because you're playing the ball. He waited, and then put his hands up super fast. That was impressive. That is a God given talent. You can't teach that. That is hand discipline to the third power. Again, run. The defensive back, once you start to put your hands up, is going to try to block it. So he wait. Last second. I mean, the ball is a foot away, and his hands just sprout up like Jack and the Beanstalk. Very impressive with young Mr. Bachman. And if it's Bachman, I don't know. He's new, so forgive me. I don't know, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm going to tell you, DJ Glaze today, I thought had a very good day. Not perfect. Nobody does, especially a rookie. But that kid has no quit in him. I am very impressed with that kid, and I call him a kid because he is. I have children a lot older than him. He just doesn't have any quit. He's got a motor now. And there was one play, and I'm not speaking formations because it's a new formation I've not seen the Raiders run before. and the ball's downfield. And all of a sudden I look and they're probably, I don't know, 25, 30 yards downfield. I'm like, who's that? And it was DJ. No quit. That kid's got some fire in his belly now. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be this year. Could be. Could be. If Colton were to get injured midseason and they move Thayer to left, and or maybe they leave Thayer at right and let Andrus play. But I'm just telling you, Delmar Glaze just got a little something, something in him. Just a little something, something. I like it. Tommy freaking Eichenberg today in practice. Yeah, it was kind of funny. He was getting a little chirpy, and everybody loved it. Coaches loved it, players loved it, fans loved it. It was interesting. I just talk about him every day because every day Tommy Eichenberg does something. It's like, Uncle Hondo, put your eyes on it. I see you, Tommy freaking Eichenberg. I see you, Tommy freaking Eichenberg. TEF. Making plays. I'm going to tell you who he reminds me of. And this will tell you how old I am. He reminds me a lot of a great Ohio State linebacker by the name of Bobby Carpenter. No relation, by the way. He just got that very smart, very ethereal. He's I could have said a lot like AJ Hawk, but I think he's more verbal than AJ Hawk. But same mold. AJ Hawk and Bobby Carpenter are very similar players. But I like me some Tommy freaking Eichenberg. Max, unstoppable. I don't talk much amongst about Max because, quite frankly, I'd be talking about him every day. I mean, I could do a whole podcast every day on Max Crosby. He's getting the crowd wrecked. He made a play today where he goes across the line, pushes up on the lineman, almost gets the interception behind the. I mean, remember Jack Jones's interception last year? This would have been as pretty. Max Crosby looks like he is in mid-season form. I'm just going to say this to you, Raider Nation. I hope, and now in the interest of full disclosure, Max is my friend. But I hope you appreciate how good he is. Because one day, he's not going to be here anymore. Because careers come and go. And when that career is over, when it's over, you're going to look back and say he was one of the greatest Raiders of all time. I have said this. Now listen, Jim Otto became a friend of mine before he died. Matt Millen is a dear friend. Obviously, Marcus Allen, Gene Upshaw, Art Shell, Ted Hendricks, Todd. I mean, there's so many great Raiders. I'm going to stop because I'm going to leave somebody out. I believe on the course that he is right. I mean, Cliff Branch, Lester. Hey, I got to stop. On the course that Max is right now, he is not there yet. But I believe on the course he is on, he could be the best Raider of all time. Now he's going to have to win a Super Bowl. And he's not even at his best yet. And I think he's the best defender in the NFL. I do. He's a game changer. I always laugh. Like I talked about Marcus Epps, and somebody emails me, "Who are you kidding? Marcus Epps is a Pro Bowler? You're crazy." Okay, that's fine. I know what people around the NFL say. Marcus Epps, when he left the Eagles, what happened to their defense last year? He made great plays by putting guys in position. I have no desire to argue with anybody. If you don't agree, great, that's fine. But I'm telling you, I don't just make those opinions. I ask around the league, what do you think about this? I had more than one executive in the NFL tell me last year that Marcus Epps and Robert Spillane got robbed. And if they had been on a team that was better, they both would have been Pro Bowlers. And both people, more than one executive, told me that's not fair. But it is the reality of the NFL. Max, unstoppable. There's a couple times today now he schooled Thayer. That one play where he went over him, I think that was against Thayer. But to Thayer's credit, he just kept battling him. And Thayer won a couple of reps too. But it was a battle. Christian Wilkins, I got to tell you, I knew Christian was a great player. I told you yesterday I was surprised a little bit at his leadership. Not that I thought he wouldn't be a leader or a good teammate. He's just better than I thought he would be. I saw it a little bit in OTAs and minicamp, but not enough to really say anything. But since training camp, I've seen it every day, multiple times. He may have the best hands of any interior defensive lineman in the National Football League. And I think that you can make an argument that him or Jordan from the Chiefs are the best defensive tackles. I think you could make an argument for each and be right. I think Christian is. And I've thought that for over a year. I just think that Christian's hands, his ability with his hands, he uses his hands like a wide receiver. In fact, the next time that I talk to him, I'm gonna talk to him more about it and bring you more information. Two more players I want to talk about, then I'm gonna let you go. AJ Cole, best punter in the NFL. It's not even close. He kicked some balls today. I was sitting there with Lincoln Kennedy, and Lincoln and I were talking and watching it. And he hit one, and Lincoln and I were both at the same time. Wow. I mean, that ball went up so far that I'm told there were jets released from Air Force bases in the area to shoot it down. I mean, it was, you almost thought you were going to hear Sputnik noises. And for all you young kids, go Google it. But I mean, you were wondering, is it orbiting Earth? And it just seemed to go and go and go and go and just not come down. And like Michael Jordan flying through the air. And then all of a sudden, it just came down softly. And 4 Raiders are on the guy. Unbelievable. I apologize, AJ Cole and Daniel Carlson, that you don't get more love on this podcast. I mean, I call you the best in the NFL. I don't know how much more love you're going to get. They're just so good. Barry Sanders told me this one time, and he was not talking about himself because Barry does not like to do that. But we were talking about another player, and I said, "What do you think of him?" And he said, "The best, make it look easy." And he wasn't talking about himself. If you know Barry, and I do, Barry would never do that. But I've always remembered that because Barry did that. And AJ Cole does it too. Lastly, I want to talk about Anthony Brown, quarterback. You know, they signed him last year and they really liked him. Anthony has clearly secured the number 3 spot for himself. I do not believe in any way that he's competing with Gardner or with Aiden at this point. Not saying that he won't in the future. I'm just saying at this point, I don't think he is. But that young man is extremely athletic, and that man can drill a football now. And I'm the only one I know of who's been talking about him all off season, talked with him several times to AP about it over the off season, have shared you the videos, but what a phenomenal ability to put some angst on that football. And that young man's got some promise. I think the Raiders are in really good shape at quarterback. Lastly, I want to talk about not a player, but management and the feeling inside the building. This is the closest football team I've ever covered. And I want to give Tom Telesco a lot of praise on something. Um, Tom Telesco had nothing to do with Champ Kelly not getting this job. And Tom Telesco, who I told you I have several friends that are friends with him, and they all told me what a man of integrity he was. He has been incredible. And him and Champ Kelly have a wonderful relationship. And Champ is one of the nicest people in the world. And in fairness, I'm very proud to say to you that Champ Kelly is a very good friend of mine. I care about him and love him, and he's a good friend. And he would tell you that if you saw him on the street. Um, and I admire Tom Telesco coming in, not ashamed of, I mean, not ashamed would be the word, but not feeling nervous about Champ. And he relies on Champ. He listens to Champ. And so even people in the building that felt bad for Champ all love Tom. I think that's really, really cool. There is a lot of love in that building for Tom. Just the way that he knows everybody. He knows janitors. He knows people who work on stuff that normally the GM would never have taken the time to talk to. And I'm just going to tell you, there's a lot of negativity floating around this team, but I cannot tell you how many people in the building that have said to me, Hondo, you're the only one that picked 10 wins. Hondo, we're going to make you look good. There is an optimism on the Raider team that in 5 years of covering this team, I've never seen. Not one time. I thought times when they were excited but nervous, none of that. This is an excited football team. They know they're good. They feel they're good. They're ready to go prove it. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, real football is back. The pads will be on. They are going to be hopping and bopping and whopping. It is going to be like Christmas for all of us. And your old pal, Uncle Honda, will be getting highlight videos for you to watch of guys in pads practicing. And we're going to have another podcast, number 8, breaking down the first day of pads. Who got the best? Whomp. And we are going to have a great time. We're going to have lots of video for you. In fact, let me just check one thing real quick. I want to make sure before I give you some bad information. I'm excited about this. Tomorrow, going to be talking to Luke Getsy. I mean, to Antonio Pierce. AP's always good. Let's give my guy AP some props. He's always good. You know it. I know it. We all know it. So it's going to be a great day in pads. When we talk tomorrow, real football being played by real men at the highest level for the greatest franchise in all of professional sports history. Merry Christmas, friends. Allow me to be your proclamation. The wilderness is over. Padded real football is back tomorrow. God bless every one of you. Happy birthday, Dexter. Daddy loves you, bud.